We're looking at Cargill today, one of the largest private companies in America. There are some big changes happening there, and we're going to try and figure out why and what it might mean.
A lot of people probably haven't heard of Cargill, even though they're a major player in the global food system.
So for those who aren't familiar, can you explain what Cargill actually does?
Cargill basically acts as a global middleman, distributing grains, meat, and other agricultural products all over the world. It's a massive operation. They're in 70 countries and have over 160,000 employees.
That's a lot of employees. Why are they cutting 5% of their global workforce?
That's about 8,000 jobs, right?
That's right.
Well, there are a few things going on. Food commodity prices have been dropping, and that's after a period of inflation and high profits.
So their profits are getting squeezed. What else is happening?
Cattle numbers are down in the U.S., which is a problem for Cargill's beef processing business. And their profits have dropped to the lowest they've been since 2016.
That sounds like they're in a tough spot. But they're also opening a new tech hub in Atlanta, and they're hiring 400 tech and engineering positions. It seems like they're doing two opposite things at the same time.
It does seem that way. It might mean that Cargill is changing its focus. Maybe they're investing in technology to streamline their operations?
To make up for the job losses.
Possibly.
So maybe they think technology is going to become even more important in food production and distribution.
That could be it. They might be looking at ways to automate more of their processes, become more efficient, and maybe rely less on manual labor in some parts of their business.
If they do move towards more automation, what's that going to mean for jobs in agriculture?
It's a good question. Some jobs might disappear, but technology could also create new opportunities in things like data science, software development, and agricultural robotics.
So there could be some winners and losers.
It's definitely a mixed bag. Could this shift towards technology also affect food prices?
Or even the kind of products we see in the supermarket.
It's possible. If Cargill and other companies can use technology to streamline their operations and reduce costs, then those savings might be passed on to consumers in the form of lower prices. We should also think about potential drawbacks, though.
Like what?
Well, if automation leads to a few big companies controlling most of the food production and distribution.
You're talking about monopolies.
That's it. It's a complex issue with lots of moving parts.
We've been talking about economic factors and technology. Are there other things that might be influencing these changes at Cargill?
I think we have to consider global events and trade, too.
How do those things affect what Cargill is doing?
Well, look at what's happening in Ukraine. The conflict there has disrupted grain exports, which has led to a lot of price volatility and uncertainty in the market.
It must be really difficult for companies like Cargill to plan for the future with so much uncertainty.
Absolutely. The global food system is all interconnected. What happens in one part of the world can have a huge impact on the entire industry.
It seems like these layoffs at Cargill are a reaction to a lot of different factors. Economic pressures, technological changes, shifts in what consumers want, and these unpredictable global events we just talked about.
You got it. There are a lot of forces at play that are changing the world.
With all of these things happening, what other big trends are you seeing in the food system?
I'm seeing a growing demand for sustainable and ethically sourced food. Consumers are more and more aware of how their food choices affect the environment and society.
So companies like Cargill need to change and adapt to what consumers want.
Absolutely. We're already seeing companies trying to become more sustainable, reducing their carbon footprint, promoting animal welfare, and supporting fair labor standards.
Those are good things. But are there any challenges in becoming more sustainable?
The transition to sustainable agriculture can be expensive, especially for smaller farmers. They may not have the resources to make the necessary changes.
So how can we make it easier for smaller farmers to become more sustainable?
We need policies and programs that help farmers make this transition. It requires cooperation between governments, businesses, and consumers.
It sounds like these issues go beyond just the agricultural sector.
Definitely. The food system is essential for human well-being and the health of our planet. It's connected to so many aspects of our lives.
With this being such a complex and important topic, how can people stay informed and involved in these discussions?
Stay informed about the trends shaping the food system. That way we can all make better choices and advocate for a future that prioritizes sustainability and justice.
That's good advice. It sounds like Cargill's situation is a good example of the bigger changes that are happening in the global food industry.
That's a good point. It shows how important it is to be aware of these changes and to be able to adapt to them.
As we continue to explore this changing world of food, what are your final thoughts for our listeners?
Cargill's moves, especially their focus on technology, give us a glimpse of what's to come in food production and distribution. It's a changing landscape, and we all have a part to play in shaping it.
What can our listeners do to help create a more sustainable and equitable food system?
Start by looking at what's happening in your own communities. What changes are you seeing in local food markets or farming practices? Those local observations can tell you a lot about the bigger picture.
So by paying attention to local trends, we can understand the larger forces at work.
Exactly. Think about where the food you buy comes from. Are there locally sourced options or sustainably produced products? Supporting those choices can make a real difference.
So awareness and making informed decisions are important.
They're crucial. Talk about food sustainability with your friends, family, and community members. Raising awareness together can lead to real change.
So by raising awareness and making conscious choices, we can work together to build a more sustainable food future.
That's the idea. The future of our food system depends on informed consumers, engaged citizens, and responsible decision-making at every level.
Thank you for sharing your insights and expertise with us today. It's been a fascinating look at the complex forces shaping the global food system.
It's been a pleasure.
And to our listeners, we encourage you to keep exploring these issues and think about the role you can play in building a more sustainable and just food system.
Goodbye, and see you in the next video.